我是葛望平，解冻格陵兰纪录片的计划发起人。2021年，北极下起了史上第一场大雨，唤醒了我对气候变迁的忧虑，促使我展开解冻格陵兰的拍摄计划。而今天，透过冰的颜色，使我们再次回到这块气候急剧变化的岛屿，带来更深层的观察。科学研究指出，若格陵兰的冰层完全融化，全球海平面将上升7.4公尺。在这部纪录片中，我们跟随着科学家威廉和克里斯，以创新的钻探技术解读埋藏在冰层中的气候密码。他们深入极地的每一步，都在为人类寻找因应气候危机的关键。同时，我们也见证了当地因纽特猎人奥伦努阿克的故事。世代相传的雪橇犬路线，正因为气候变迁而消失在海水中。这是气候变迁改写人类命运的最直接证明。科学家的研究与猎人的经历都指向同一个警讯：改变的时刻已经到来。今天，格陵兰所发生的一切，很可能是明日的任何一座城市的写照。透过科学家的观察与在地居民的经验，我们看见了危机，也明了因应与调适的解方。这正是这两部纪录片想传达的核心价值。无论你是企业的领导者，还是在课堂上汲取知识的学生，我都期待这部北极圈格陵兰真实纪录影像能为您带来启发。
This looks like it's the most recently frozen ice. Ice is blue because it preferentially absorbs the longer wavelengths, the red wavelengths and red colors, and that just lets the blue scatter through. And so if you go on the shady side of ice, you really get that effect and you get like more blue coming through than if you look at ice from the sunny side, it looks more white because it still has those red wavelengths in it. And those longer wavelengths. So I like looking at the shady side of ice because then it really makes these annual lines pop out in this ice wall here. Ice at 0 degrees Celsius is relatively soft. It flows about 10 times faster than ice at -10 degrees Celsius, which is much harder. So that's why we're so interested in what's happening at the bed of the ice sheet, because even small changes, small warming in the basal ice temperature can result in large changes in the ice flow. This is the hot rod with our first cable marking at 2 meters right here. And we're going to drop this into the ice. and it'll never come out. And by never, I mean probably 25 years until this ice melts down to nothing here, because it's not too thick and it's already melted about 25 meters. So I might actually be able to walk back here and collect this baby within my career lifetime. How big and fast the sea level changes over the next century can be. 解決です。またデータを創出し始めました。Atmospheric carbon dioxide is the main driver of climate change right now. If you ask us again in 5 years, it'll probably be a bigger number again.
Das nennt man einen Feedback-Effekt.
Unless we turn back the clock on climate. I mean, it's funny being asked to collect data about something that hasn't been collected before. We just have to like do our best and see what happens. And there's this sort of like, yeah, that's what everyone here is doing. It's science. It's supposed to be an experiment. No one is going to tell you that this is going to work. So just do your best. We'll see what happens. No one is expecting this to work. I don't know. It's tough when it goes out of your eyesight. You have no idea what happens. Just what the screen tells you. Yeah, for all of the drawings I've done and all of the numbers I've looked at, I'm forgetting that we'll only be seeing this thing for a grand total of like 10 minutes. Yeah. And then as soon as we drop it into the hall, it's just kind of shrugging for the rest of the time. Yeah, you have no idea what it looks like. Greenland today is facing unprecedented climate change.
Glaciologist for the Geological Survey of Denmark and Greenland, William Colgan.
And the whole world wants to know how the ice sheet is going to react to this climate change in terms of how much sea level rise it's going to contribute in the future. So to project that sea level rise contribution from Greenland, we need computer models. And to run those computer models, we need data, including data points like what is the ice temperature at the bed today. We have to go there and find a way to stick a thermometer down to the bottom of the ice. So we show up at work every day to try and understand the climate better. And there are huge questions there about what is going on, why, where. But it's extremely difficult to get good data and good measurements to answer these questions. Let's do 5 minutes, and then I'll take a picture.
Just pull it up and take the skin temperature.
It might be helpful if we do that together.
At this point, it's been literally years of inventing the hot rod. From the first sketches on the back of napkins to the endless conversations and talks on the phone and prototyping and building. And now we have something that's packed up and ready to take with us to the ice. And when we turn that thing on, if it works and starts sending data back from the bottom of the ice sheet, it'll be big.
We designed the hot rod drilling system to hopefully be an easier and smarter way to collect deep ice temperatures. And now we're taking it to Greenland for its first integrated field testing. It's been a pretty bumpy road. I'm hoping it'll be smooth sailing on the ice sheet, but it's not guaranteed to go well. Part of me is really excited to drill this borehole because it will definitely go towards making the next assessment report better. But at the same time, you know, what the climate movement needs is not more papers and more scientists writing papers. It needs actual action. It's like taking a billion choices to get to where we are. We have to make a billion choices to go back to where we need to be. And our borehole is just one little piece of that equation. But it's all we can do today. We can only do our little bit.
Siko. This is one of the water and Siko. idisimaron naqtingila saarlu isasajagalu siku ukiuk aputikitsuungaangami taawadu isungutalaarlan taanalunartangila siku issuyungit taamaakkaangat taamianersorsuisaqeqartar malanu uiartallum аллакингалласаагаартар таа тунгуйораангами аннам укиукку qaanartillum tunguyoraangami исуманнаатсигусаққааваттарами ангаллуиккуминарлунит қалипаатай упернаакку налунаарнаартарпу саорл кайюсаттум қалипаатеқатараангам таа таман ақитсуиннарсигусарпо аққутигисаариақангит мианерсарна окей живет тамасиарни октябриккун сикусар мааннакку qaamатини пингасин кингоорникуу таман киорман януар ингартатилас аатта уна сааппу сикуа qimусилерпа сисиннаасукку октябриккун тамусилернақартарникуу таматуманналаани маани ангараалернартаараа qimуссарлут тиин окей маккунан таамаала синнаанаарсумау таман пиффисса qaamатини пигасин кингоарникуугами соор сиккусарнаа маансиусиуми инуунам аффаасиннилаарлугу наюмақарсумалераппу пуиси амерлангаатсаумат таакку киситсаатингила амерлангаатсаартам пуисиппу окей пинертууга пинернерми нассарсиитеқарпуумаани
Yes, that's us. We'll be careful with it.
Okay.
You want to take a clip?
Yeah.
Want to have the 2 extra ammo with you?
Oh, sure. Thank you. All right. And we're back. My name's Chris Shields, and I'm here with Liam Colgan. We're both from the Geological Survey. And we're here to talk to you and answer questions and get into a conversation about all this cool science we're doing up here.
All right, that's one, maybe. This is also hot rod stuff here. I would say we have 2 goals for the hot rod program this week. The first one is to hit 10 meters an hour penetration rate. If we can do 10 meters an hour through the ice, I think people will be excited about that.
We finally picked this plateau, a smooth white plain of ice for as far as you could see.
And the second is to resurvey a borehole that was first drilled in 1960 by the US Army engineers and repeat some temperature measurements 60 years later. There we go.
What you see in front of you here, this is what we're taking to drill, which is a shockingly small amount of support equipment. If that works, it'll be important because everything is open source. This is going to be public information that's available for free so that anyone can use it for whatever scientific project that they need to do.
right. Hey Casper, it's Liam. I'm mostly done packing the pallets now, but my fancy new generator, I can't turn it on. I don't know if it's a me problem or a generator problem. Do you have a moment to troubleshoot with me? Right now, it's really frozen here. So it looks like nothing's happening, but this is actually a bunch of mass leaving the Greenland ice sheet. So Greenland is losing so much mass right now. The ice sheet is losing about 10,000 tons per second of meltwater and icebergs around the clock throughout the year. This is just a snapshot of some of it. That's so much ice loss from Greenland that it actually causes the gravity over Greenland to weaken. Same thing's happening in Antarctica. And so the water leaves these places and flows to areas of the world where the gravity is not getting weaker. And that means around the equator. And there, the sea level rise might rise at 5 times the global average. So just because Greenland is a big source of sea level rise doesn't mean that the sea is rising around Greenland. It actually means the opposite. The sea is falling around Greenland, and it's rising in faraway places because of what's happening here on the ice sheet.
Nannuksumangaangaminngorsiit siullit taamanersiaq nanniniaqua unnusiulleq taa avannamunguasammitillu unnuisikkallertarpaat neqaayarneqanginnarani sidamiitillu avannamusammitillu taannuannaasaakku nannumutarnia avannamu angallertarpu nannuniaqua nannuttapniaqua avannamu saatillu unnuisikka nannuniariaas atorlu nannuniartarpuumaani saar qimussarta qimmi atorlu nannuniartaan qimmikka nanersiit tallumakkaittarpu mali arfanilliisinna pitiitakipisarpak nannamut nanoqarnaranil kalerrallu taa nannamut nana isiginkkalarluulaani malani isigitarnersimangaamak taa upa arnerarlu unitsittarpaat taa tikiunissam tungaanu uningatoriortarpaat taa angukkaangam uga qimussarluan taa allaaginnersinnaava qoinnertarpa qangatut inni piniariasiatorlu
It's hard to sit in an office in Copenhagen and just imagine, okay, when we're freezing our butts off out on the ice, we're gonna need not only all of these tools, but all of these tools to fix the tools when the tools break. We need as much backup material as we can to improvise solutions when we're not close to any hardware store or anything else.
All right, let's have a little snack, make a plan.
Maybe there's a block of ice at the very bottom of the fuel tank or whatever. I mean, that's not what happened, but
Yeah.
maybe there's some weird shit that we're not thinking of. Well, no drilling today.
So that's weird, because the last time it went like, it sounded like the battery's dying.
Yeah.
Good morning, Casper. It's Liam. How you doing? Our generator is not starting out here. And I was wondering if I could pick your brain for ideas for a minute.
Piangasarnerit ingerla juannuk soor pisattatsinni iluarsaasi juannarnerisa sasitigalu maanna ullumakkua qaannami piniarnerit ingerla tingayileratsigi taassumutungaana taakkunum tungasut taa maanni piangasallittaarlin aallartipparu soorla qayara maanni qamutaqaawannip allaleruma. Okiu ingerlanaan qaamaajartarnaarmalillugu piniarnerpu joo siemmaajartartarpu talliartarlt angallagu ungasilliartarlt siitserujartarluni angalanerpu taa qaamaajartarnaani puusinnaarnum ilingutiinerlugu nannunniarnu ingerlittarpu soo suuli ullumakkua aam turnaarfissaagu nannunniarsinnaani puusinniarnu taakku ataatsimorullu ingerlittaarti.
A hot rod is a new kind of drill that instead of drilling the way you'd usually think of it rotating, it heats up very, very, very hot on one end, and then we drop it down the hole while it continues to stay warm. So when we finally hit the bottom, then suddenly we have a large temperature sensing string that should be able to measure the temperature all the way up from the very, very bottom up to the top. Usually, if you wanted to drill down 100 meters of ice, you would need a large team of people, very, very expensive, heavy equipment, and a lot of support. It's not uncommon for even small drilling expeditions to be over a month long. And we hope to hit the bottom of this hole today. You can see it's bubbling. Look at how big that hole is. Crazy.
I don't think it's not that big. It's not like it's a centimeter on every side.
I mean, this is fast as hell, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this ice is probably a lot warmer and weaker than the ramp ice.
But this, I mean, if we left this for an hour. We're not the first people to try melting through ice. Even in the late 1800s, up until the mid 1960s, this was it's a medium popular way of drilling holes.
Some of the deepest boreholes were drilled by the Soviet Union in the 1970s in Antarctica, and it's been largely abandoned since then. And most people think that melt-tip drilling is a waste of time, and it's not a great idea. And there's a million reasons why our project could go up in smoke. But Chris and I feel that, you know, there's a real positive energy to be harnessed by re-examining melt-tip technology with the new engineering devices available today. Starting to get some warming at the top of it, just cresting 12 degrees Celsius.
Inside this copper block, there are 6 heaters that are about this long. Each one of them is 1 kilowatt. So at maximum power, this should take 6 kilowatts of electrical heat all the way at the tip. The heat should be directed straight into this cone at the end, and that should drop like a knife through butter. May 15th, 2022. We did our best. It's a very, very small hole, and if you imagine it the size of a skyscraper, and then sort of 2 or 3 skyscrapers, you can imagine that this hole would freeze shut very quickly. So it's a race against the clock, picking a good site, keeping it hot, and going as fast as possible to the bottom.
This is it. This is immortalizing the first borehole of Hot Rod Project.
Yep.
Okay.
But
It's documented.
the first tests of the borehole.
So what can go wrong? Everything from the insulation will melt and our cable spool will catch fire, to the borehole is going to freeze shut faster than you can reach the bed, to the heating cartridges we've chosen are not going to work because they have a bad distribution of heat. Okay, so first test. Got a little too hot.
Okay, so it was not even. Okay, it overheated. That's so crazy.
So this is super cool right here, because this is, whoa. So this is a very sharp and painful, oh boy. So, just a second. So that's the edge of the ice cap here at Tudo Ramp. That ice is nice dark blue ice, about 8,000 years old probably. And this is an iceberg that fell off that wall and then fell over sideways. And you can see it still has its nice annual lines in it. And it's sitting on top of this really nice and bubbly lake ice. So the Greenland ice sheet has 2 main ice types. The older ice from the last glacial period is sometimes called Pleistocene ice. It has more bubbles, more impurities in it. It was colder when it formed, so it looks a little more white in color. And critically, it deforms 3 times easier than today's Holocene ice. The Holocene ice, it has a darker blue color, and it's just generally harder. It doesn't deform as easily as the Pleistocene ice. And so where we have this old Pleistocene ice at the bed of the ice sheet, the ice flows and behaves very differently than where we don't. So that makes it a real treasure hunt to find where you have Pleistocene ice at the bed of the ice sheet, because it has a real big impact on how the ice is flowing today. No, I think it's probably time to start our day. You good to go, Chris?
I turned on the TV earlier to the Weather Channel because they have a nice classic rock radio station playing, and it said that there's 30 to 40 knots of wind off base today. So that means not working conditions. It's hard to postpone things for tomorrow or the next day. The weather report says the weather will be better, but weather changes. It's workable today, so we'll try it today.
I have gloves. Or are you asking if you need gloves? All right.
Qaatuukkak piniaqataallu ataatam angalluin utoqqaaqalittaarneramalullugun amaluga misilittagaalikkak malullugun silap qaammatip ukiulqaneralernerani piniassallugun.
It's important to understand that Greenland has always lost ice through melt and through icebergs. We know that the oldest ice in the ice sheet is probably, say, like 100,000 years old. And over long timescales, even the snow that falls in the very center of the ice sheet will eventually flow and make its way out to the coast and be replaced by new ice. So it's constantly overturning. But recently, there's been a huge growth in the loss along the margin through both melt and icebergs. And as a result, the ice sheet is now getting smaller. It's no longer steady. Yeah. You want 7 meters.
It's got the tip on it?
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, so this should be 7. And then we're putting an 8-meter pole. We'll probably have some chips in the bottom so it won't stand fully.
So you just want to run it for a while?
One more. No, this is 6.
Okay. Then
we'll run it for a while to get some chips up.
yeah.
When we're studying why the Greenland ice sheet is melting and contributing to sea level rise, we measure so many things at the ice sheet surface. We measure temperature, humidity, wind speed, radiation budget, all the things you can think of.
It's got power.
It's these measurements that are publicly available and used for weather models, for climate predictions, sea level rise. There's a lot of scientists around the world that depend on these stations and this data. So it puts us in an extra good mood when it's all working.
But by contrast, we have very few observations of what's happening deep down in the deep ice, which affects how the ice is flowing into the ocean. So that's why it's really important to actually start taking a lot more deep ice temperature measurements to understand how the ice is flowing into the ocean. This is the song that I'm making with
I guess, I mean, there's something tough about it, right? That it's like you're doing something that's hard or doing something that takes more effort, but I feel like there's more to it than that. It would take a long time to sort of get to the bottom of the question of like, why does it need to be cold? Why does it need to be an extreme environment? Like, why not be a car mechanic or something in the city? It's very, very simple. It's a very simple reality. You know exactly the work that you have to do, and you know why it's good. There's a kind of envy that I had for my grandparents and other relatives that I have that are deeply religious, where when they wake up in the morning, they have the symbols in front of them, they have their day's work ahead, they have the books that tell them how to do it, and there's very little doubt or questions of identity or purpose that I definitely have and many of my closest friends and family have. But when you come out to a place like this, the purpose is more clear because there's no alternative. Like, you have the task in front of you and you do it, and then you go and find a place to sleep, and you find some things to eat, and then you do the same thing the next day. I came from a background in arts. I dropped out of art school to learn engineering, in part because I was sick of needing to sort of put words to everything, or needing to, spending all of my time in self-expression. I'm putting nuts onto a threaded rod, and I'm about to plug in a snow sensor. And this is going to tell scientists around the world how much snow just fell on this region of the ice shelf. It's very, very simple.
So this is the 1962 temperature profile.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
Okay. So this is where they said, so they say, here's the thing, 44 feet was on the surface.
We're gonna start low power and make it through potentially the snowdrift and the weathering heights, the weathering crust, and whatever there is before the blue ice. I would think that we could start drilling at 100% speed after 6 meters. So let's assume a 20-meter borehole of blue ice running at 10 meters per hour. It could only take us 2 hours of drilling before we've hit the bedrock.
That'd be pretty nice.
I would be over the moon. I would be so thrilled.
So, I think we gotta swing this around. There we go.
You got to look down.
All right. I'm looking down. Lower. As a scientist, you operate in a very objective world. You need facts to draw conclusions. And it takes a long time to get those facts or data points. Then once you have them, you think on them, you make a conclusion, and the discipline moves forward.
The thermal information is being logged.
Okay. What is our internal temperature right now?
29.
But we're in a world where we're fighting against very subjective climate denialism. And people will make conclusions with no facts. And it's hard to fight that game because it's much harder to go out and get facts and make a report than it is to sit at home and blog something. Oh, is that the bottom of the borehole and it's filled with sediment?
It's sediment, yeah. It's sand.
How did all that sand get in that borehole?
And this is a lot of sediment. We don't know how deep it is either.
No, that's true, we don't. When you talk to people about climate change, it shouldn't be about belief. It should be about understanding. And like, it's so weird when people say they don't believe in climate change. And it's like, but we made a hole, we stuck a thermometer down, and the thermometer said it's this temperature. And when some other people did this 60 years ago, it said it was that temperature. And now that's changed. It's not a belief thing, it's understanding. 19.4 meters. And so my frustration is that partly when we have a campaign like this, part of it is to build up climate science and make new information. But a huge part of climate science right now is just putting out reports and assessments to keep down climate denialism.
Аллангоратаарнерит саорсилап иссисаат аллангоратаарнери налингиннаа супаяамут утеққилаарлик таамат ингерлсаа кин нактарсууманааллун қанерпи писиннаана сақутигинартиккигаана соорлу маани итаатиг сеиссиоқанитаани имат самми кагиартитерникуугам қамуарпартитерли илаатиг имаат 10 километр 10 километр комиссаани кагиартитерникуугам соорлу хиессиккунни ассилисаасимасанни таамали аллумсиккунни тамак ассилисатсигун соорлу мааннали ассилисаттакуллугин соорлу Samsung фисимаса кангиаруйуссуарникуугам qamanaqimanilерл илаатин qeqat нууйорл соорлу ата тамакку аллангуути анаа унифигинавасаартарпак таамаам нутаани соорлу перафисин нутаани уяртуифигиниарсариуаннерпаа силааннаа соо аллангорна 이다지 우메이쯤 이hinnaaju qatortarsumingisaariuusa imaanaan qassisassaarnaa tamukku maan aternaarsangasarpagu yaar silarlutsilluun qassiti taakku piaqaataasinnaayuannu sa piniartut ingerlamasаарnernerngilak siin artornar siartarpoq an isqatigisinnaangila artormarsiartarp pinaarnaana maniissarsiitqam umiitsaarneruluppu taa ulian saar bensiinakkan atuinaruluppu tassani aannertarsiarnersiartaram taa
I spend a lot of time looking at satellite data and model data with a little bit of time on the actual ice, whereas Alinkwack, he spends most of his time on the ice. So we come at it from very different perspectives. So I think we have very complementary skill sets to understanding the ice, but in many ways, we're talking about the same changes from different perspectives.
Boat is dropping. It's just under 100 newtons.
The Savicevic family rolled by. They were coming from Thule Air Base on the way back to Savicevic. It's a 4-day trip. And this year they decided to take the inland ice because the sea ice south of Thule is not passable this year. It's already gone out, so they have to go the inland route.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to take the temperature all the way at the bottom. Because right here, someone drilled in 1960s, 1963 or something. And when they had Camp Tuto, they took measurements all the way from the top to the bottom of the ice. And so now, 60 years later, we want to record again what the temperature is at the bottom. And hopefully it's interesting information.
I think that the ramp road is a really good example, a really good illustration of how much ice has melted here. It's that big structure behind me. It looks like a long mountain, but it's not. It was just a road that was built about 60 years ago as a cover of gravel on top of the ice.
We'd had to build a 3-mile road up onto the edge of the ice cap.
And so 60 years ago, it was flat with the ice surface. So now the ice is down here and the ramp road's up here. And the difference between those two levels is it shows how much ice has melted from the Tuto ramp area here in northwest Greenland. And it's a staggering amount in 60 years. I mean, now you look at the ramp road and it's just this giant perched monument to climate change. The ice sheet's really old. It's been around for a long time. But now we're seeing a change in really drastic and rapid ways. When we step back and we look at the global climate system, we think that there might be somewhere between 63 and 101 centimeters of sea level rise by the year 2100. That's a lot of sea level rise. But we're so uncertain about how the ice sheets might behave that we think they could possibly contribute an additional 60 centimeters of sea level rise over and above this within this century. This will have a huge impact on ecosystems and communities around the world. Climate change affects people very differently all around the world, even within Greenland. But in North Greenland, where there's such a traditional way of life focused on the sea ice for travel, sea ice for hunting, sea ice for recreation, I think there, people like Olinkwak, they're very astute and they observe the change and they realize how serious or perhaps even an existential threat it poses to the traditional way of life. How far skal vi tale dansk eller engelsk?
Ja,
Begge dele? Hvor længe væk i dag skal du gå? Et par kilometer?
Nej, Hvordan anser du isen?
På den anden side?
Måske gør cirka 10-12 timer. På den anden.
12 timer?
Ja, og så en hel dag til.
Det vil være en rigtig lang dag. Okay.
Måske vi står halvvejen.
Halvvejen, ja, okay.
Jeg tænker på hunden.
Det lyder meget godt. Ja, du har allerede været hele vejen op fra Tuli.
Ja,
Ja.
det har godt.
Op på den store landgletsjer over indlandisen hernede. Ja. Safe travels. Godt tur, godt
What do you think the temperature is now?
I don't know. The ice is so much thinner and the lake is so much closer.
If you had to throw a dart at the board,
Had to guess? I would guess it's warmed at least 2 degrees. That is pleasing. So the borehole is definitely not frozen. You
Yeah.
can fucking totally feel it, like just go thunk. Do that. It's really satisfying. So I'm wondering if that envelope here is dirty basal ice, and that, what we've drilled through, is clean blue ice. The two things we found by redrilling the same borehole is how the ice thickness has changed and how the temperature has changed. The ice is thinned by 27 meters at the D11 drill site. 27 meters is about the height of a 9-story building, and that's how much ice has been lost to melt since 1961. When we look at the ice temperature down there today, we can't really say what it is for certain because the borehole is still quite hot from our drilling, but we expect it's going to be about 2 degrees warmer. So we can say that the ice has got a lot thinner and it's also got warmer. And that just is consistent with what we've been observing all across Greenland these last few decades, where Greenland is warming and melting about 2 to 3 times the global average. We know that the color of the ice or the type of the ice is really important in influencing how the ice behaves. We just know that the white ice is so much softer and flows so much easier than the blue ice. So we really need to poke holes through the ice sheet to find out where we have white ice and what its temperature is. When we look at the map, the ice sticking out of the ice margin right at Tuli, where we've been drilling, is blue or young. But we don't have to look too much further north to start hitting where this white ice is exposed at the margin. Now this ice is very old, up to 55,000 years old, but with climate change, there's no guarantees how much longer it might be around.
Arisan taput takara takasunga yo anak popten. Ta chin pinga tsaka pam so. Nuriya angay kaw amarita angay kaw. Tamat ini tsakam ko. Pinyat kult arisan tolsil. Dan Paris gingan na sinong ni ko at yung amir nakatsin. Tiwatsin amir sakatsin. Imin belasan nanatsin man pisagad day. Nanat pisagad day. Marittarang sa uki yapanan dekkutak marittarang inunit kam. Dan inatatsukkay na po. O siritsin niya marinakatsin. Natatsukkay po. Nakipuso nga sakit kumatayin po is sirit. Ingatlit sa kasunod siya ang boy ingatsukkay na siya. Audinga matrapua, sesifon ukiraslinga. Maan sesimi pua, awana som. Okay, kanina na pagkadaling binigtik ko. Paritara pinyan ng atleta.
The V3 that we put down the hole, it actually went all the way down until it hit something hard. And that was my goal.
That was the goal. So the hot rod version that we tested, it delivered some good results at Tudo Ramp, but the efficiency is one focus point. We're getting just a fraction of the efficiency that we get in a laboratory setting when we tested on artificial ice. We got 50% efficiency in the ice well. We only got 15% efficiency on the ice sheet.
But the ice sheet was packed with sand.
Yeah, that's true.
Climate science, like any other branch of science, needs people to do things without the confidence that it's going to work or not work. And what we found out was useful information that hopefully in a big picture sense can, be used by the climate scientists to push their research forward. The end of our first experiment made me even hungrier to go back out there.
The hope is to prevent irreversible collapse of the Greenland ice sheet. And we need to understand the processes at play today to see where that threat looms on the horizon and make sure society knows when we're getting close to that tipping point.
Surface. There we go.
Our borehole is just one tiny borehole in a very big ice sheet. But I hope that every new measurement contributes to a next report, which contributes to a new assessment and more engagement and outreach activities. And each of these things is a brick on the path towards climate action and getting to where we need to be.